Just before we get things started, if you're interested in buying this book, there are links down below. I'm Will. Welcome back to this episode of The Bald Book Geek. I want to talk about Blood and Sugar. Now, this was a Derby Book Fest book, and I wouldn't have heard about it if it hadn't been for the Derby Book Festival in 2019. So, Blood and Sugar is a historical crime drama / thriller that is extremely well researched, a period in history I don't know a lot about either, which fascinates me on that thing, because my sort of expertise on English history is sort of pre-Christian, 16th century and into the Victorian era. 1781 is a grey area, and it forced me to do a lot of research in the best way possible. So in June 1781, an identified body hangs upon a hook at Deptford Docks, horribly tortured and branded with a slaver's mark. Some days later, a war hero embarks on a promising parliamentary career, is visited by a sister of an old friend, and it all kind of goes from there. So you end up being pulled into this world, and you meet some fantastic characters, including a character called Ted, who is fascinating in his own right, although dead. Harry is forced to pick up the threads of his friend's investigation. He dives into the heart of this conspiracy that Ted unearthed, and investigation will threaten his political prospects, his family's happiness, and force a reckoning with his past. So this book has to be one of the most atmospheric crime historical novels I've read in a long time. It's written like a modern day crime novel, and I mean that in a complimentary way, so it's nice. You don't feel, it's not an intimidating historical novel. The pacing is very good, the writing is lyrical and interesting, and the characters are equally as lyrical and as interesting. Everyone is very well painted, everyone has a very distinct voice. This is tense and dark and paints such a grim and fascinating picture of especially that part of England in the 1780s. I mean, the research, when I saw her talk at the writer talk at the Derby Book Fest, she's absolutely fascinating, and you can see the research that just went into this book, like stacks of it, to the point that I think, I always make a joke with, and I know this feeling well as a writer myself, it's like the research often is far longer than the final book. But this is just a breathtaking novel. Just one that I cannot recommend more. I mean, if you love crime, if you love a good thriller, if you love historical fiction, you'll love this. It ticks so many boxes. If you want something that's a little bit different, a little bit darker, this will also tick it. One thing that I did really get pulled in is the fact that the characters feel so distinct. You never feel like you're reading the same character over and over. The characters are flawed, they're human, they don't feel perfect, they don't feel idolised. They are characters pulled into this, and everything around them is not going well. This is got to be one of my favourite historical novels. It almost made my list of the best books of 2019, but the reason it wasn't in that list is it lost by 1 point. And that was and there's a long rating system for that, but if I'd done a top 10, it would have been my number 6. So it's a phenomenal book, and definitely one to read, definitely one to indulge in. And it's, like I said, it's lyrical, it's interesting. So it's just one of those great books. So that's my Blood and Sugar, a quickie review just on this book. If you've not read it, why? It's fantastic. So that's Blood and Sugar. Bye, guys. Oh,